This is the high diving egg experiment. Did I say egg experiment? So, drum roll in a minute please. But first of all, let's see what we're using. Well, we're obviously using eggs for the high diving egg experiment. And this is the inside of a toilet roll tube. We're going to use this as well, and a paper plate, and a jug full of water. Okay, so this is what I want you to do. Well, these are the things first. Now, again, I'm using plastic jug. It's just better if you do. Got an egg here, and this is how I want you to set this up. You need to work in a room where if there's any spillages or breakages, it's not going to be a serious problem. I actually recommend the kitchen for this, on the side, one of the sides. Place the plate nice and centrally on your jug. Just have a look, nice and centrally, okay? And of course, I've almost filled it with water, as you can see. See the level there, actually pretty high up. So let's see what happens there. Then place your tube end on, so that it's pretty much over the middle of the jug as well. Okay, that's what I want you to do there. Then I want you to get your egg and very carefully rest it on top of the tube. Now, maybe you're using a tube which is too wide and the egg might slip inside, but obviously test it first, make sure you can rest it on. There is an alternative to this, but I suggest this method I like, and I want you to try this one first. What I want you to do, have the setup ready. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to show you both ways of doing it, right and left-handed. Right-handed way, this is what I want you to do. Probably best to get your arm resting on the table. Hold the container from behind. You're going to see I don't want you using a metal container, because what I'm going to do, and what you're going to do before me, is you're going to get your hand ready and you're going to whack that plate in that direction as fast and as hard as you can. Whack it in, because if you use glass you might accidentally hit the glass and knock the pot as well. And I don't want you knocking this over, because if you do it could break its glass, so make it plastic, then it won't matter so much, even though you might put loads of water everywhere. That shouldn't do too much damage. So whack it that way as hard as you can and see what happens with the egg. If you're left-handed, you may want to do it the other way. So you'd hold this with your right hand, resting your arm nice and firmly, and whack that way, and of course it'll be going that way this time. So whatever direction the plate goes in, you should be able to predict that easily enough, I hope. When you predict whatever way that goes, make sure there's nothing on the other side that you can do any damage to with the flying plate. Okay, so have a go and see how you get on. Okay, did you have some fun with this one? Hope you didn't cause too much mess. Here's our one. Ready? Into the water goes the egg. So what's going on? How did this all happen in the way it did? So let's give you an explanation. So what's happening? Well, when any object is at rest or when it's moving, it likes to stay doing that same thing all the time. I say it likes to, it doesn't really think about it. It's one of the laws of nature, if you like. It has what we call inertia. And inertia is the property of an object, because of how much stuff it's made of, to carry on doing what it's doing. So if it's already stationary, it likes to stay stationary. If it's already moving in a particular direction, it wants to keep moving in that direction, okay? So that's one of the things about inertia. Now, when we had this all rigged up, let's rig it up again for you, pretty much in the way we did. I'm not going to actually do this time, I just want to show you. Here we have things as they were. Now the egg is stationary, of course everything else is as well. I took a good hold here, I whacked the plate. Now of course the plate doesn't want to move any more than the egg does, but of course it can't resist the amount of force that I'm using, so I give it a good whack, the plate got knocked sideways. Now there's a ridge on the plate, it sticks up a bit, and as that moved, the tube didn't want to move much either actually, but the plate was gripping the tube a bit anyway, and the tube probably would have fallen off, but with the ledge on the plate, it gripped it and just pulled the tube away as well. Of course, all the while, the egg was probably beginning to move that direction, being carried a little bit by the moving plate and the moving tube, but again, it didn't want to move any more than anything else did, and it was the one that's been least held onto, if you like. So the force I was using from my hand whacked the plate away. That moved really fast. It dragged the tube away, which was a bit reluctant to go, but it went anyway, leaving the egg in the air, which managed to stay there most easily because it's the one least in contact with what I was doing. So most of the stuff got whipped away and the egg just dropped down before it had time to speed up and be dragged along with everything else. Okay, what other things could we try? Well, of course, we could change the height we have it at. I've used an ordinary toilet roll tube here. What about if we use, like a kitchen roll, the inside of a kitchen roll? They're often much longer. I wonder if that would work. So it'd be about there then, wouldn't it? I wonder if that would work. That'd be interesting. What about the size of the plate? If you can find different size plates, do you think that would make a difference? And of course, the size of the opening of the jug. Do you think that would make any difference too? So there's just a couple of things to think about, a few things. I wonder if you can think of a few more.